first speech, you guys heard me talk a little bit about my sister and an accident and her ending up being a quadriplegic. So I'd like to talk for a few minutes a little bit more in detail about that. How many of you have daughters? Sisters? Cousins? Female cousins? Nieces? Aunts? Moms? Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes for a moment and try to picture your daughter, your sister, your cousin, your niece, whoever it is, at 17 years old, a junior in high school, and very excited about prom, and going prom dress shopping. She goes, she's with her friends, she's excited, right? Got your eyes closed, you're picturing this, and it's over. The excitement's gone. My sister, 7 years younger than me, she's actually my stepsister. She's been in my life since she was 3. So even though she's my stepsister, she is my sister. In 1996, she was 17 years old, and she was asked to her junior prom. And she was very excited about going prom dress shopping. And she had called, and she had asked me to take her shopping. At the time, I was living and working in Detroit on an internship, and I had a varied schedule. So the weekend coming up, I couldn't make it home, but the following weekend we made plans for me to come home and help her pick out her prom dress. In the time frame between the weekend that I had missed and the week following, she had made the arrangements with a girlfriend she hadn't seen in quite a while. They had gone to school together, and the girl had moved away, and she had made arrangements to go shopping with that girlfriend on the weekend that I couldn't make it home. So I'm at work on Saturday, and I get a phone call. My boss comes, he gets me, and he says, "You have a phone call in my office that you need to take." This is highly unusual. You don't get phone calls at your boss's desk, you get phone calls at your desk. So I go to my boss's office, and it's my mom, and she tells me that I need to come home because my sister has been shot, and they don't know if she's gonna live or die. My boss had already known this. He made arrangements with a coworker to take me home. I told my roommate at the time what was going on. My roommate dropped everything, and she drove me home to Ionia, where I met up with my family, and we went to Grand Rapids, to where my sister was in the hospital. At that time, she was at Mary Free Bed, which is a clinic that specializes in traumas where people are paralyzed with neck injuries, car accidents, different things like that. And I walked into the room, and she was hooked up to every tube, every machine, everything. The weird noises that you hear with the machines beeping, there was thousands of them. They were beeping nonstop, constantly, all of the time. Long story short, for 3 weeks we didn't know if she was gonna live or die. Well, she's a fighter. She learned from her dad that you don't give up, you fight. And at 17 years old, she didn't give up the fight. She survived. But today she's a quadriplegic. She's considered a quadriplegic because she's paralyzed from the C5 down. She has use of her bicep muscles. She doesn't have use of her bicep muscles, which means she can't control her hands. Therefore, she can't write, she can't eat. But she does have use of her tricep muscles, so she can lift her arms to her face to feed herself. She can turn herself over at night. So she's not the quad that can't do anything but eat and talk and breathe. She's a little self-sustaining. But what happened in that accident was that she was with a friend who she hadn't seen in quite a while. They went to go prom dress shopping, and that friend suggested that maybe they skip out on the dress shopping and they go to the Myers and find a buyer. My sister wasn't involved in that. She didn't like that type of environment. So the group of people that they were with said, "Well, you're here with us, you're not leaving." And she said, "What are you gonna do, stop me?" And one of the kids in the front of the van pulled out a gun. She said, "You're gonna shoot me for not drinking?" And he said, "If I have to." And when he did that, he accidentally pulled the trigger and shot her in her C5. The guy was 15 years old at the time. He was sentenced with possession of a stolen gun. I can't remember right now off the top of my head what it's called, but having a concealed weapon on you, drugs, and one other charge, a minor in possession of a firearm, and then something to do with attempted manslaughter, something along those lines. But because he was 15 at the time, he did serve some time in prison, and they stacked him on top of each other. So for the crime that he committed, leaving my sister as a quadriplegic, he served 3.5 years because he was a minor. What I learned from that is that there's not always justice in the world. You know, he knew he had done wrong, he served his time. There is always a little bit of karma though, because 3 days after he was released from jail, he was drinking and driving and he got hit by a train and killed. So there's a little bit of karma in that. But what I really wanted to share with you guys in this story is what my sister did after her accident. As a junior in high school, quadriplegic, in March of 1996, she graduated with honors from her high school with her class. 3 years later, she graduated an associate's degree from GRCC. After that, she had been working at Mary Free Bed as a counselor, and so she still continues to, she doesn't work there as an employee, but she volunteers, and what she does there is she works with incoming patients who are in a similar situation. She talks to the patients about the things that she's learned and what life is going to be like, and she also talks about that with the parents. And what I have learned from her is that when life really looks like it sucks really bad, something can always come out of it. I told you she was my stepsister. Her mother and my stepdad don't get along. She was not allowed to be part of his life. After this accident, she and my stepdad have been able to build a relationship that they never would have had with that. And she will tell people day in and day out that she would do it all over again if she had an opportunity to build that relationship with her family that she didn't have before. So I learned a lot from her over the years. I learned to put some petty things aside. I learned to not really worry about things that you don't have any control over. And I learned at worst case scenario, your family is always there